That's fine. I gotta go through a lot, so gotta go through all those festivals. Do you want to go? I don't know. Like, they wouldn't understand anything at all. I can go through it. We should do it in the morning. Take this. Okay, Hare Krishna. Okay, Hare Krishna. Sorry. So, yeah. Okay, so today we're going to be reading from the 7th chapter, text number 9. The chapter entitled Knowledge of the Absolute. So in this particular section of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is revealing to us how one can actually think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, how one should actually have a proper vision of how to see in this world. So we'll go through a few topics like that in the Bhagavad Gita here. So what I'll do first is, this is Sanskrit for those who don't know. This is the oldest, it's the oldest language in the world. And it's been preserved through thousands of years of disciplic succession, this particular text. And it continues now as it is. So we're lucky to have the text here, and the words that you see up there are entirely spiritual. So it's very beneficial for you to also chant along. So I'm going to say one word at a time, and then everybody can repeat after me. Okay? It goes like this. Punya Gandaha Pritivyam Cha Tejas Chasmi Vibhavasu Jivanam Sarva Bhuteshu Tapas Chasmi Tapasvishu. Okay, so now we're going to do it in a little bit more meter, a little more poetic. Punyo Gandha Prithivyanscha Tejas Chasmi Vibhavaso Jivanam Sarva Bhuteshu Tapaschasmi Tapasvishu Punyo Gandha Prithivyanscha Tejas Chasmi Vibhavaso Jivanam Sarva Bhuteshu Tapaschasmi Tapasvishu Punyo Gandha Prithivyanscha Tejas Chasmi Vibhavaso Jivanam Sarva Bhuteshu Tapaschasmi Tapasvishu. Okay, can you repeat? Punyo Gandha Prithivyaam Cha Tejas Chasmi Vibhavaso Jivanam Sarva Bhuteshu Tapaschasmi Tapasvishu Punyo Gandha Prithivyaam Cha Tejas Chasmi Vibhavaso Jivanam Sarva Bhuteshu Tapaschasmi Tapasvishu Punyo Gandha Prithivyaam Cha Tejas Chasmi Vibhavaso Jivanam Sarva Bhuteshu Tapaschasmi tapasvishu. Tyagandha pritivyamscha.
Jivanam sarvabhuteshu tapaschasmi tapasvishu.
Okay, Matajis. Punyagandha pritivyamscha. Tivaschasmi vivagasa. Jivanam sarvabhuteshu. Namaskasmi tapasvishu. Punyagandha pritivyamscha. Tivachasmi vivavaso. Jivanam sarvabhuteshu. Tapasvasmi tapasvishu. Okay, word for word. Punyaha, original. Gandhaha, fragrance. Prithvyam, in the earth. Cha, also. Tejaha, heat. Cha, also. Asmi, I am. Vibhavaso, in the fire. Jivanam, life. Sarva, in all. Bhuteshu, living entities. Tapaha, penance. Cha, also. Asmi, I am. Tapasvishu, in those who practice penance. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: I am the original fragrance of the earth, and I am the heat in fire. I am the life of all that lives, and I am the penance of all ascetics. Purport: Punya means that which is not decomposed. Punya is original. Everything in the material world has a certain flavor or fragrance, as the flavor and fragrance in a flower, or in the earth, in the water, in fire, in air, etc. The uncontaminated flavor, the original flavor, which permeates everything, is Krishna. Similarly, everything has a particular original taste, and this taste can be changed by the mixture of chemicals. So, everything original has some smell, some fragrance, and some taste. Vivavaso means fire. Without fire, we cannot run factories, we cannot cook, etc., and that fire is Krishna. The heat in the fire is Krishna. According to the Vedic medicine, indigestion is due to low temperature in the belly. So even for digestion, fire is needed. In Krishna consciousness, we become aware that earth, water, fire, air, and every active principles, all chemicals and all material elements are due to Krishna. The duration of a man's life is also due to Krishna. Therefore, by the grace of Krishna, man can prolong his life or diminish it. So Krishna consciousness is active in every sphere. Om Jnana Timirandasya Janashalakaya Chakshurunmritamena Tasmai Shigrive Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Stapitamena Bhutale Swayam Rubhakadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Tapatakamelam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadatam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padhan Sahagana Lalita Shiv Shakhan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishavanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarvesha Kripa Sindhu Bhyo Patitanam Pavini Bhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swami Niti Namine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jnanananda Mayam Devam Nirmal Pratikakritim Adharam Sarva Vidhyanam Hayagrivam Upasmahim Guru Vaishnava Bhagavan Tiner Smarana Hay Vigna Vinashan Anayasha Hay Nijavanchita Purana. Okay, so here we're discussing some, obviously, knowledge of the absolute truth. So in the section here, Krishna is describing two different subject matters, or specifically here describing one subject matter, being that he's describing his material creation. He speaks about that a little bit before. Earth, water, air, fire, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. These constitute my separated material energy. So even this material energy, and he mentions a little bit later that there's this material energy and the spiritual energy. And now he's describing this material energy and how the Supreme Personality of Godhead, how God is present in these things. How he's present in the fire, how he's present in the earth, how he's present in the lives, how he's present in all the different austerities we may take and the difficulties we may take in life. How he is the essence of that, as it is being described here. He is the fragrance of the earth. He is the heat in the fire. Without these principal things, the definition of what a fire would not exist. What is fire without heat? It cannot be. So Krishna is that essence of each and every element. So here, Srila Prabhupada's specific point that I want to kind of start to churn this with is that being described that here, in Krishna consciousness we become aware that earth, water, fire, air, and every active principles, all chemicals and all material elements are due to Krishna. So in modern society, this has been forgotten. As society goes on and on, what is forgotten is God consciousness, Krishna consciousness. Being conscious how God is present in every aspect of our life. This is being lost due to some, concoction of the scientists saying, well, we can do that too. Well, we can create fragrance. We can create heat. We can create fire. We can create light. We can create all of these things. So who is God? Why do we need God? So the modern society, it fails to recognize how the Supreme Personality of Godhead, how God, He is the essence of all of these things, because they have become overcome by their desire to lord over this material world. They want to be God. Everybody, you cannot hear? A little higher? Okay. They want to be God. So we see in the modern society, people cannot even recognize where food actually comes from. If you ask an 18-year-old, where does food come from? It comes from the store. Does food come from the store? Where does food come from? It comes from the earth, right? It comes from the earth, it grows. It comes from the tree. The tree gives fruit. People don't know that they can eat fruit of a tree. People don't know that they can drink fresh water of a flowing river in the mountain, definitely not Chattahoochee River. You'll probably get some disease if you drank that. But if you go into the mountains, where it's fresh, clean water flowing, you can take that and you can drink it. I had that experience where we were up in the mountains with this young boy. He was 18 years old. And, I'm from Nepal, so when we used to go, it's like you drink water straight out of the stream, and it's like, and it's like perfect. And I did that when we went up with this young boy, 18-year-old American. And he's shocked. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, drinking water. What's wrong with you? And it's like, no, you can't drink that. You have to drink out of a tap. It's like so conditioned. They don't even understand that this is actually real water. Or when we were in Yosemite, I finally learned how to say it. Yosemite. There was this, and Yosemite is some, distance away. It's in like the mountains. It's like far distance away from any city. And there's this fresh water flowing. And I just took it and I drank it. And this guy's like, whoa, bro, are you serious? He's a California guy. Are you serious right now, bro? I'm like, yeah, what's wrong? He's like, bro, you're going to get sick. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like, look, you need to get one of those straws and sip it through the straw so that you get clean water. But people don't understand that actually the earth is a purifier. How when water flows through the earth, and water itself, when it is not manipulated by, the modern society, it is actually pure in its form. And that same water which we think, oh my God, it's going to get me sick, is actually medicine to the body. That water which flows freely, which is pure, it fuels the body. It gives life to the body. So people have lost touch. People have lost touch. They don't, like I'm saying, they don't know that you can grow food in your own backyard and take that. Most people don't know that you have to go to Walmart and you have to buy the chemically processed tomato that can last, GMO, that can last in your fridge for 2 weeks, no problem. But then you grow it in your garden and you leave it out for 3 days and it's like, oh, it's starting to go bad. And people do not know what the taste of that is. Krishna explains, I'm the taste of water. But this fragrance of this earth, people don't know what flowers smell like. We don't buy it, we get it donated. We get flowers from the store, Trader Joe's. Not Trader Joe, right? Trader Joe's. It's Trader Joe's, yeah. Trader Joe's. We get flowers from him, from the store. And I'm guessing he's a guy. Anyways, I am a woman. But, sorry. So we get flowers from this place, and we offer it to Krishna because all the flower, the fragrance is coming from the earth, and so this you'll see when you saw the worship going on. We offer earth, water, air, fire, all of these things to Krishna because it comes from him, so it belongs to him. So before we even smell the flower, we offer it to Krishna. But we noticed that when we got the store, bought flowers, and we'd offer them to Krishna, we'd smell them, and they have no smell at all. And they smell this, and it's like, what is this? This is a flower, a rose, which is meant to be very fragrant. And I don't know about the movies nowadays, but like anytime you used to see a romantic movie, the guy gives the rose to the girl, and she smells it, and it's like very rosy, and it's like, wow, it's like an ad almost, and then she's very happy to smell that rose. But nowadays, I imagine you give the rose to smell, there's like no smell, they don't even smell it. What is there to smell? Nothing. Like we get these flowers and we smell it and it's absolutely nothing. Why? Because there is manipulation. Because you cannot recreate what God has given. We cannot recreate it. Even now, I keep forgetting this guy's name, even on YouTube. He wants to, Brian Johnson. Who knows who Brian Johnson is? Nobody? Nobody in this room? Well, he's trying to live till he's 200 or something. So what he does, he inserts all these chemicals into his body. He lives, his lifestyle is like horrible. But, he gets up exactly at a particular time. He eats, instead of eating certain things, he just takes pills to substitute for that. He has to go into this machine, which it's a radiation sort of machine, which zaps his body and keeps the skin fresh. He's 45 or something. But his biological age is 18. He's trying to reverse his aging. He's reversed his aging to 18. He takes blood from his plasma from his children, who is 18, 19, and puts it into his body in order to remain young. So people want to manipulate God's energy, what he has given. But he cannot reproduce it. If he stopped, I promise you, if he stopped any of those things, in a month, his body would be older than, he would be 100 years old biologically. Because you're maintaining you're really pushing something that is, it's like out of nature. You put it out of balance. You've pushed it. So if he was to stop that, in 2 months, he will be 100 years old. Why? Because, he'll probably die, yeah. Because you've made the body so dependent on these things that there's no independence now, because you've started to manipulate this material energy that does not belong to you. It's just like a thief walking in here and saying, okay, this belongs to me, now I'm going to do whatever I want with this phone. It's not going to happen. Immediately there will be some punishment. Now this is a subject, the reaction, action and the reaction take place immediately. But when we start to try to manipulate the material energy, try to play God on a more subtle platform by changing this body and trying to do some different things to it, changing the way that even you can make a rose, whatever color you want now. You can make whatever flower, you can make a cabbage, whatever color you want. You can make a cauliflower, whatever color you want. So when we mess with them, we lose the original taste. We lose the original nutrients that it gives. That's one of the most things that I noticed when I moved from Nepal to the West, and even devotees say now, my family used to grow their own food when I was back over there, and the fragrance and the taste that is in the food, it's so relishable. But then I moved to the West, and it's just like, store-bought stuff every day, and it's like there's no taste in the food. You cannot relish it. There's like the life that is in that food that has been created out of that earth is no longer there. Why? Because of manipulation. That desire to lord over the material energy, it creates suffering. Even on the external platform, what to speak on the internal platform of trying to become God or trying to act exactly like God. When we do it on the minute platform of just material energy, try to manipulate some vegetable, manipulate water, such and such, immediately we suffer actually. Immediately we suffer. So one has to recognize the punya, one has to recognize the original. If one does not recognize and is not in knowledge of the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, Adi Purusha, then his consciousness is perverted consciousness. His pure consciousness becomes perverted consciousness because he fails to recognize who is the actual owner of the material energy or the material world and the spiritual world. One fails to recognize that. And when we fail to recognize, immediately we suffer. We want to be the creator. Okay, the scientists want to create a bigger tomato, and then a bigger watermelon, bigger fruit, bigger vegetable, such and such. What is the result? People are unhealthy. People are unhealthy. You go to the store, Walmart, you can buy food for a certain price, and then you go to Whole Foods, and I bought 2 sweet potatoes. I bought 2 pounds of apricot and 2 pounds of some other fruit that I was asked to get, and it cost $40. $40. I was like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. It's like, how can people, and this is organic, and you have to label it, oh, this is organic. What does this mean? It means it doesn't have pesticides and it's grown naturally. It's not, hopefully. I hope so. If I'm paying that much, break your back paying, you work a whole day and half your paycheck goes in eating, maintaining the body. So when we try to manipulate material energy, thinking ourselves to have that power, then we put ourselves in difficulty. But if we were able to recognize, just like farmers back in the day, not now, because now they have these big machines, and now I am the controller, I can sit on this machine and produce as much as I want, and I can get a hose and water it whenever I want, and get a greenhouse and whatever, and all of these things they do now in Dubai. What are they were electrifying the cloud. They were like pulling clouds towards them by electrifying the atmosphere or something. And now they have floods. You seen that? Recently there was a video that got put out. It's just completely flooded the whole city. And they think, look, we did it. God can prove, it's like rain, we can do that too. Look what happens. Look what happens. And they think, oh, look, it was a small mistake. No, that's a reaction. So when we try to manipulate this material energy, immediately, we are not punya, we are not pure. And Prabhupada defines punya means that which does not decompose. But as soon as we try to do the same thing, immediately decompose, material, finished. It does not remain. Like how the earth can produce just again and again and again. You just take care of it properly, you give it proper respect. In the back, whatever now Avadhu Chandra Prabhu is farming out there. Oh yeah, I was making the point that farmers, they could recognize there is God's hand in everything, that this earth belongs to God, that I'm dependent on God for that rain to be produced. I'm dependent on God for the sunshine to shine down and the moon to produce all of these foods. I am just the instrument. The farmers could understand that, and that's why you'll see most farmers were very God conscious. Because they have practical experience. Without God's hand, I realize I cannot do anything. So when one then, comes to the platform of now materializing more materialistic civilization, where we want to be the creator, we want to be the punya, we want to be that which does not decompose. Look, we've created something perfect. We created this machine, and we created this type of way of producing this food and such. Then we end up in a difficult situation in which the earth no longer wants to give more. It doesn't want to give that nourishment. It doesn't have the ability to give that nourishment because you just plow it and disrespect it, not understanding who it really belongs to. And then you have to put in so many chemicals to reproduce that, and then you destroy the earth. So when one fails to recognize who is the original of earth, water, air, fire, all of these things, then he puts himself in difficulty. Not just that, when we fail to recognize the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, God as the principle of our lives, as the life of all lives is mentioned here, the only reason that we live on is because of God, because of Krishna. Otherwise, we will not have knowledge, we will not have remembrance, we will not be able to function without God being there within the heart. There's no possibility of it. We are completely, dependent upon Him. We're dependent on Him for food. We're dependent on Him for water, shelter, maintenance. Everything is done by Him. When we fail to recognize this, then we suffer. And then because the scientists are so great at bewildering people, oh, look, we created this bigger tomato. Look, we created this, bigger, cauliflower, bigger vegetable, greater vegetable. They can display some external thing. People start to blindly accept that. Actually, this atheism requires more blind faith than any sort of theism. It requires so much blind faith, this atheism. To not believe in God, you have to be really blind. Because everything you look around you points that there must be a creator. Everything, you yourself are an example of how there must be a creator. There must be God. So one has to be extremely blind in order to accept this atheism. And so when one is bewildered by the scientists or whatever modern civilization, one forgets God as a principle of his life. One forgets God as the principle of one's existence. And so as one continues life, then his life, as we see, goes further and further away from sanity. Further and further away from sanity. People are losing it. You see the children. It was crazy. I used to see the news so much. As I used to just come up and on whatever YouTube and all this. All the crazy things that are going on now. Why? Because they've removed God from the equation. They've removed God, so now there's no morality. There's no sensible things in life. What is a man and what is a woman? They do not know. Some people may say, I am a woman, but not right now. They don't know. They don't even know that. So it's like one has to recognize this fact that Krishna, we become aware that this is every active principle, all chemicals and all material elements are due to Krishna. The duration of man's life is also due to Krishna. That we're completely dependent on the Supreme Personality of Godhead to live on. That we don't even know when we're going to die. Completely dependent on God, therefore we should always be conscious of God, praying to Him, trying to understand who He is. So therefore the study of Bhagavad Gita is so important because it gives one proper understanding of how to approach God, how to understand God. Just like here, how do we think of God when you smell a flower? Well, He's the original fragrance of this. Well, we offer it to Him, of course. How do we see, when we see fire? Well, we see, He's the heat of this fire. That is Krishna. That fire, that heat in that fire, that is Krishna. So here, Krishna starts to describe all of these things. He goes, I am the taste of water, the light of the sun, the moon, the syllable Om in the Vedic mantra. I am the sound in the ether and the ability in man. He goes on saying that I am the original seed of all existence, the intelligence of the intellect, and the prowess of the powerful men. I am the strength of the strong, devoid of passion and desire. I am sex life which is not contrary to religious principles. So Krishna explains how one can actually have a proper vision, and this is what it means to be Krishna conscious. To have a proper vision, to see everything in light and everything in relationship with Krishna. So if one can start to do this with his life, then his life becomes spiritualized. Well, he's always spiritual, the living entity that is situated there, that is his original position, but he starts to re-spiritualize, means he starts to come back to his original position, his original condition, as the eternal servant of God, who he is. So, Krishna consciousness means to be always aware, to always be conscious that Krishna is these principles in our lives. And that begins by, of course, study, of course, by proper hearing. Properly studying means hearing, properly understanding. One must hear with attention, one must inquire properly. So the Bhagavad Gita helps us come to this platform. It pushes us to hear more and more about who is God and how does He want us to act and how does He want us to function, so that we no longer have to be conditioned in this world. We no longer have to go through samsara, what is birth, death, old age and disease. We do not have to go through these things. The soul becomes freed from the shackles of material desire, his material situation. So when we study the Bhagavad Gita with seriousness, with sincerity and seriousness, and not have an envious attitude, but have a submissive and inquisitive attitude towards this Bhagavad Gita, then we start to understand these things. Not only do we get knowledge, Krishna says in the 9th chapter to Arjuna, idam tu te guhyam tamam pravakshyami anusuyave. What's the rest of that? Jnana vijnana sahitam. So he says that I give you knowledge and realization. So when we read this Bhagavad Gita, it gives not just knowledge. Knowledge is just not just, it's not enough. It requires realization. It requires us to see 9.1. It's 9.1. So I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization. So one has to have practical realization. One has to understand that not just from a philosophical level. This is not just philosophy we're discussing, but actually discussing it practically in our lives. It becomes practice is second nature, not to even actually, it doesn't even take thinking. It just becomes, oh, this is Krishna. Oh, this is the mercy of Krishna. And so that begins by hearing and chanting. And then purifying one's existence by chanting this mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This mantra is a transcendental vibration. It is not material. It is directly descending from the spiritual world. And it can free one from all material miseries, as it is being said here. By this knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence. One becomes completely free. Cheto darpana marjanam bhava. So one cheto darpana marjanam, it completely cleanses the material, all of the dirt within the heart that is there. It completely wipes out our false ego, our lust, our greed, our anger, envy. It completely wipes those things out. It gives us a platform on which we can start to see who we are and who God is very clearly. So this mantra, this sound vibration, as sometimes it was expressed before, I am the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras. This is Krishna himself. So by chanting this mantra, one can start to purify his existence and see actually every single aspect of his life in Krishna consciousness, he starts to, this is called yoga, connection. So Prabhupada often said that actually the material world is actually not material. This rose is not material. The only reason it is material is because you're thinking it to be an enjoyment for your senses. As soon as you see that rose as an enjoyment for Krishna's senses, then immediately that rose is spiritual. Because that is offered to Krishna, we're offering that to Krishna. We do not take anything without offering it to Krishna. So one starts to develop a proper vision in life of how everything is coming from God and how everything should be offered to God. And living a life like that is desirable. Living a life of whatever this atheistic society who have no idea what is going on, they do not know what is death, they do not know the miseries of life, of birth, death, old age and disease, ignorant to it. It is not such a good way to live. It's actually very miserable. The philosophy they have is very miserable. But this Krishna consciousness, God consciousness, it means gives us life, as it is being stated here. It is the life of all lives. You can see materialists, when they're not recognizing Krishna as the principle of their lives, life is very dull. Life is very dead. You can do so many different things, but nothing makes you happy. You can get so many things, but nothing, there's no substance. It's like the dream, you chase, and it's like, but you can't grab it. It's like the mirage in the desert for the materialist. There's no life. So when we recognize Krishna consciousness, then our lives are full of life. Krishna is present, then it's full of life. And that means we become happy. Become happy, therefore then you sing and you dance. That's what people do as a symptom of happiness, is you sing and you dance. Anytime you feel happy, anybody you see, sometimes we saw today this guy at the university, he was how do you say that? Frolicking. I was trying to say that, but frolicking, that's it, yeah. And he was just like happy. And we were there and we were like egging him on, like, yeah, you know. But you can see that's a symptom of happiness, that one sings and dances. But for the materialist, that's for some time, only if you get drunk a little bit, maybe once in a while, you know, when you're not drunk, if you get high. If you go to the club, you have to get high and drink. Otherwise, it's like, you know, why would you go to the club? You have to drink. Otherwise, you cannot dance. Because you remember, you just worked all day, you got those bills to pay next week, you know, you got a mortgage on your head, your car insurance to pay. You know, you got so many things to do and take care of that you forget this. Therefore, you have to forget your material life in order to enjoy. But in Krishna consciousness, we're in knowledge. We do not have to forget all of these things, but we're in light and we understand the principle of our lives is Krishna. Therefore, we're full of life. Our life is full of life. Pranatijar hetu prachar. We say the only one who has life, he can actually do the preaching work. But we can understand that means only one who has that life, when he is fully Krishna conscious, he has enthusiasm. He has energy. So when we take up this Krishna consciousness seriously and we understand it, we sincerely inquire and apply ourselves to this process, then it gives us life in every sphere. Then we can be happy, enthusiastic. Every part of our life is ecstatic, whatever we're doing. Because whatever we're doing, we're serving Krishna, we're serving God in every aspect of our life. And we're racking our brains, we're applying ourselves to see how we can do that every day, day in, day out, every moment. Why does it have to just be a Sunday? Why does it just have to be one day where it's a trip or something? Why is God's work only limited to that? No, it is a principle of our lives. It means it does not exist separately. We do not exist separately from God's work. Krishna consciousness, working in Krishna consciousness always. So that is a devotee. He sees Krishna as an active principle in every sphere. He's active in, so Krishna consciousness is active in every sphere. Whatever we do, we dance, we chant, we have music, we have food, do everything, but everything is applied to Krishna, everything is offered to Krishna. Therefore, it's very blissful. Therefore, when one is a thief, he's always in anxiety. But when one is a servant of the master, he enjoys on the same level of the master. The master has a big kingdom. He simply serves the master. He gets the facilities of the kingdom. But if one comes to that kingdom and he simply wants to steal, then wherever he goes, he knows eventually I'll be caught. So therefore, there's always anxiety. Therefore, those who voluntarily accept, of course, it has to be volunteer, that is love. One who accepts God and serves Him nicely, then he enjoys life. Enjoys life means he, as a result of serving, he gets enjoyment. Not that his purpose is to enjoy life. He just wants to see that God is happy, whatever he does. And as a result, he's naturally happy. So we should desire to see Krishna as the active principle of our life. We should desire to see him as the Purusha, as the original personality of Godhead. When we do this, then we can become completely satisfied. And that begins, like I was saying, by chanting this Hare Krishna mantra, by reading Bhagavad Gita, by reading this literature that has been given so nicely by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. You study this book, you find one fault, and you study it to try to find faults, and you present them to us. If you can present something nicer, we'll take it. We're looking for the essence of life. But these books are perfect in presenting the perfect Supreme Personality of Godhead. So if we study this, then we can also make our lives perfect. And that is the point. Everybody wants to make their life perfect. Who wants to be miserable? No one. Everybody wants to be happy. So Prabhupada said like that, our mission is to make everyone happy. And that the way to do that is to become Krishna conscious, to become God conscious. So I'll end my class there. It's pretty short. This purport is pretty short and straightforward. So if there's any questions or comments, please feel free to ask. Anything else? Anything? Okay. Mason, no? Okay. Anything from the Matajis? Oh, we got a question back here. Okay. I'm going to get you a mic so I can hear you. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So in this passage here, it says something about confidential knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
I kind of got stuck on that. Why would it be confidential?
Because not everybody can understand it. We can see, yeah, it's available. Just like, if you go online, you can find all the scientific literatures. You can go online and you can immediately look at whatever they're studying now. But you look at all the studies and you won't be able to understand all the stats and all of these things properly. So this knowledge is confidential. It is very deep. But it's hard to, it's available to anyone, but it's hard to understand for most people. Yeah, so there's a qualification one has to have in order to understand. One has to approach a teacher and learn from him. And so that teacher will give us that. And as being said, I shall impart to you. So Krishna makes this point early in the Bhagavad Gita that you should approach a spiritual master because he'll give it to you. He'll impart you the knowledge and realization if one is submissive in his inquiry and he serves him nicely. Not that one shouldn't ask questions, but one asks questions not with a challenging spirit, but with the attitude of wanting to learn. And if there is faulty in the answers, then one questions those answers too. But that is the attitude by which we can enter. But most people, confidential means like this, that one has this attitude. Most people want to approach it with the, feeling that, well, immediately I want everything. You give me everything now. I don't want to do anything. You just give me the answer and that's it. Or some people approach with the attitude, well, I already know the answer, let me just ask you anyways. And whatever you say, I already know anyways. So confidential means that it is available, but it cannot be understood by everyone. It requires, there's a qualification there. The next verse comes that, King of all knowledge, the secret of all secrets. So this is devotional service. It requires, This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and it gives direct perception of the self by realization. It is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting, and it is joyfully performed. So even within the Vedic tradition of those who study this, they cannot understand this. Because it requires proper qualification. It requires the eyes to see that comes in the Bhagavad Gita as sincerity in approaching a bona fide spiritual master. So it is available to everyone. It's not hidden away. But there's a way to approach it in which one can understand it and take to it fully. We've seen so many people come and read the Bhagavad Gita, but they can't understand it. There's a process, yeah. So many scholars read this Bhagavad Gita, but they will not become devotees because they do not have the proper attitude that is recommended by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. The process that is recommended. One cannot invent his own process. That's the idea. So this is confidential in this aspect like that. Yeah. Okay, anything else? Okay, Mataji, did you have anything at all? The women, any questions? Okay, all right, no problem. Okay, thank you for coming. Hare Krishna. Okay. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai.